Hey guys, Sean here and welcome to the F1 Word. Now earlier this week Red Bull confirmed that they would be using Honda power from 2019 onwards, and with that finally being announced, attention has obviously turned to Daniel Ricciardo and what move he may make regarding his future. It is widely believed that he will either stay at Red Bull or seek a switch to either Mercedes or Ferrari, as the Aussie has previously stated that he feels ready to win titles now. However, earlier this morning it was reported that McLaren have apparently tabled a big offer for Ricciardo to join them next season. So, what have the reports claimed and how much can we realistically read into them? Well, according to German media outlet Sportsbild, McLaren have put forward a $20 million per year offer to try and tempt Ricciardo to swap Milton Keynes for Woking, a fee which, by the way, would more than triple his current Red Bull wage. There is no denying that the Aussie is in high demand for next season, and Red Bull's Dr. Helmut Marko has, as ever, had his say on the offer and reiterated why a deal has yet to be reached between Danny Ric and Red Bull. He stated, "Our Daniel Ricciardo is king of the market. McLaren offers him more every week. Ricciardo doesn't want to sign until Hamilton has signed. It's a bit strange. Hopefully, it ends soon." It was reported last week that Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton are set to announce this weekend that the world champion has signed a 2-year contract extension to remain with the Silver Arrows. So, if Marko's comments are to be believed, an announcement on Ricciardo's future could well follow fairly swiftly, and with the Austrian Grand Prix being the team's home race, it could well be that an announcement comes somewhere around there. But really, how likely is a switch to McLaren for the Honey Badger, and where could he end up in 2019? If I'm being completely honest, I think we have to take all of this with a pinch of salt. McLaren are desperate to convince Fernando Alonso to stay, and Red Bull are keen to keep Ricciardo on board as well. So why go public, if you like, with an offer like this or with quotes like this, and potentially jeopardise talks with the driver you are so desperate to keep hold of? I mean, let's be honest, it's not the first time that Helmut Marko has come out with such claims or tried to stir the pot. In fact, in recent weeks his volume of comments appear to have increased quite a bit. So like I say, take all of this with a pinch of salt. From a McLaren point of view, of course, they would love to have Daniel Ricciardo on board. And if they could convince Alonso to stay as well, that is potentially a very strong driver lineup for the team. However, if, and I will keep using that word, if these reports are true, I think it is more than likely that it would be as a replacement for the Spaniard and would pretty much all but confirm his departure from the Formula One side of things at McLaren. I mean, I'm not saying that McLaren wouldn't pair the two of them as teammates, but are McLaren really in a position to, number one, pay big wages for two big-name drivers, or number two, deliver two top drivers a car that can compete at the sharp end of the grid? Yes, McLaren do have the money, but right now that could be better spent elsewhere. And with the car being consistently the slowest of the Renault-powered teams this season, and given their broken promises to Alonso in the past, I can't see them being able to deliver on the latter either. From a Ricciardo point of view, why would he switch to McLaren? Absolutely, they are a big name in Formula One and they've got great history, but that name has definitely dwindled over recent years, and the team is not the draw to drivers it once was. There's no getting away from that. Plus, if we're being completely honest, moving to McLaren would be a big step backwards in terms of championship position, and with the Aussie ready to fight for titles now, a move to Woking would just prolong the wait for a championship challenge. The thing is though, unless he moves to Ferrari or Mercedes, chances are he won't be competing for a title until 2021 at the earliest. Okay, yes, he has had a strong start to 2018, and of course, he is in with a shot of the title right now. But with Renault's power deficit versus the top two teams, and with penalties already looming large, it is unlikely that he will be able to maintain that title challenge this year. Red Bull's decision to switch to Honda next year will have a huge bearing on what he decides regarding his future, there's no denying that. But speaking hypothetically, if he did decide to leave Red Bull, I think that Renault would be a very good option for him. You just need to look at the progress that team have made over the last couple of seasons, and it has been impressive. And with the Aussie having raced with a Renault power unit for a long time now, he could perhaps look at it in terms of the power as better the devil you know. That and, of course, the team's manufacturer status could well be something that tempts Danny Ric. It could potentially also see Sainz partner Verstappen at Red Bull next season, which I guess, if Ricciardo does want to leave, could actually end up being a win-win situation for all parties. I'm not going to lie, I've said this a lot over recent weeks, but my gut feeling is that Ricciardo will stay at Red Bull until at least the end of 2020. Naturally, he will be concerned about the Honda announcement and of course the reliability of that engine, But it's not as if the Renault engine has been bulletproof over the last few seasons either, and that's contrary to what some in the media have tried to imply since the announcement was made on Tuesday. Some even asking, would Daniel Ricciardo want to drive for a team that have an unreliable engine like Honda? To which I will always say, well, he's managed fine with Renault over the last 4 years. But that's just my opinion. Of course, yes, the Honda engine is definitely more unreliable than the Renault. You can see that this year and you can see that over the last 3 years. But Honda are improving their reliability a hell of a lot more than Renault are. And of course, that is the law of diminishing returns, if you like. But as I've just said, Renault are far from bulletproof. Let's not forget as well that Red Bull have definitely got the best chassis on the grid. I don't doubt that for a second. You can see it from how good the car is on the track, but also there is a reason why neither Mercedes nor Ferrari will supply them with engines. Both of those know that a combination of one of their engines and that chassis would more than likely make Red Bull the team to beat. So I guess what I'm saying is any power deficit from Honda could well be offset to a point with a very good chassis. I do believe as well that Valtteri Bottas and Kimi Raikkonen, given their good starts to the season, will remain with their respective teams next year, and so the driver lineups for Mercedes and Ferrari will stay the same. And that puts Daniel Ricciardo in a very difficult position. Does he gamble and stay at Red Bull and see how Honda get on next year? Perhaps gamble and move to Renault and see if they can continue to progress? Or gamble and go to McLaren and see if they can finally deliver on their promises? And I suppose that is where I'm going to come to you. If you were in Daniel Ricciardo's position right now, what would you do? Would you stay at Red Bull, or would you gamble with a move to perhaps Renault or McLaren? Or would you perhaps try everything to try and land yourself a Mercedes or Ferrari seat? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. That is it for today's video. I will be back tomorrow with this week's news roundup. And to let you know as well, there will be no pre-race stream on Sunday for reasons I'm sure you will all understand. But we will be live shortly after the French Grand Prix with the race debrief. In the meantime, though, you can follow me on social media. Links to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word. And until next time, goodbye.